Small Business New Zealand is a new online platform launching this week, aiming to support Kiwi business owners across the country to thrive. SBNZ founder Philip Wicks joins me now. Philip, thanks for talking to MBR.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about how this initiative took root.
Well, how it originally took root was when I started working. So I own a business advisory firm with a business partner, and we have 15 or 16 advisors, but I also have my own clients as well. And I have done for nearly 10 years now, worked with small business owners, and a lot of those for many years now. But how it initially came about was that I started to notice that with a lot of these small business owners, they start off a couple of guys in a van, and then 10 years later, they suddenly got 20 guys, 25 guys or women, and they are businesses that have had to grow generally very, very fast. And although the owners are still the technical experts they were at the beginning, they now happen to be experts in a whole lot of other areas, sales and marketing, especially HR or people, and they haven't had any training in a lot of these other skills. And a lot of businesses, especially when they get down to that sort of $1 million turnover stage, start to run into a lot of issues around their systems and process and people and those sorts of things. And so as an advisor, I surrounded myself with a whole lot of experts to help those businesses, really good HR people, graphic designers, or health and safety experts, as well as a lot of resource. So I would have forms and templates and all the things that they may need. And a lot of times they'd never used any of these things before, things like staff assessment forms, and which from a corporate background seem fairly basic, but for a lot of these businesses, remembering where they've come from to where they are now is that they've grown. So I was doing that myself with all of my clients. So I thought, well, if that benefits them, it must benefit small business owners in general to have this sort of one place to actually have this sort of resource. And so that's where the idea came about. I approached my business partners at BSP Advisory Group and sort of said, look, this is an idea I'd like to work with. And then we've got some really good people interested in it, like Cultivating Leadership, which is a leadership organisation. And they deal with some of the biggest businesses in the world, Nike, 3M, Google, some really impressive list of clients, and they were very keen to get into the small business spaces, and learn more about it. And they are very much a learning type of company, so they were keen to get on board. They introduced us to Ademption, and then just by chance, I happened to be doing a presentation to some Attains accountants in Hamilton, and the chairman happened to be there. So the chairman himself said, look, this is something that we'd like to be involved in, because they recognise the issue as well, because they work with so many small businesses. And it's not all small businesses, but it really is in that range between about 800K to about 5 million turnover. It's sort of aimed at that. And I guess, there's lots of information out there that people can access, that's already out there. But a lot of them don't. I think they don't because they just don't know it's out there. And so part of the thing was actually getting a name, Small Business New Zealand, that actually, would represent the community, and trying to build it as a community. We kept the membership at very, very low cost of just $199 a year. We also have provided a forum on there so business owners can talk to each other. And the idea is to make it like a real community, and the biggest fight we'll have against that is simply going to be that small business owners are very, very busy. Mm-hmm. and there could be a little bit of apathy, but I still believe enough in doing it to sort of say, well, let's just put it out there and see what happens, and build it, and hopefully put quite a bit of information on there to begin with, and then hopefully everybody else will start to add information as we go. And so I do believe there's a real need for this type of thing in a community type feeling, small business owners. You have a lot of it in agriculture, especially in dairy, which is what my background was originally. And so I have done quite a lot of market research, and a lot of the people that we've talked to, all the small business owners that we've talked to, have been very, very supportive of it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
You talked about apathy perhaps being a barrier to people joining. Also, I imagine time, just the time of running a small business, you often don't have time to go and join things and look for resources, as you're saying. How are you going to get the word out about this platform?
Well, we've hired a PR company to help us do that. Obviously, we have our own client base ourselves, so obviously getting our own clients involved, and also the other key sponsors getting their client bases involved as well is a pretty good start, especially with the Attains organisation, because they work with so many small businesses. And then I think if people at the end of the day, I mean, they can go in there, they can download quite a lot of stuff already. There's quite a lot of information already on the site. They can download, they can access, there's education, there'll be events, they'll get discounts off events, or some events will be free for members and maybe not for non-members. So there's a lot there that they can easily benefit from, and that will easily justify the membership fee. But yeah, I mean, you are fighting with that whole thing around, and I understand that from working with small businesses every day, that whole thing. How do I give myself a half an hour to look around this website, or is it worth me doing? Is it when I've got all these other things I want to do? So we've just got to sort of, I guess, do a good job of showcasing what's on the website, and like I said earlier, I think one of the it's going to be interesting, but one of the things I think people will like the most will probably be the forum, the ability for a plumber in Matamata to talk to a plumber in Invercargill and discuss ideas, knowing that they're not competitors, and to talk with each other. And that's something I'm really hoping I will see over time. I think it definitely is a time thing, though. I don't think it's just going to suddenly, you're going to get 5,000 businesses suddenly sign up. I think it will be one of those things where we gradually get the word out, and as more people get involved, then that will sort of help to spread things themselves. Like I said, I've shown this at a number of sort of meetings to small businesses already, and have showed the idea probably over a year ago, and the feedback I got was always very positive. This is something that we definitely need. This is a great idea, Phil. But whether that transforms into members will be another thing. But if it was costing $2,000 a year or something like that, then maybe there would be a reason to be a bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Probably a little bit more negative about the whole thing. But the reality, we've made it at a price where I think it should be a bit of a no-brainer based on the resource that's already in there.
And Philip, just finally, while I've got you, the operating environment for the businesses you're dealing with at the moment, what's it like? What kind of improvements could be made?
It's been a very, very interesting last couple of years. Look, most of my clients, it's a little bit up and down. Most of them have been performing pretty well the last sort of 6 or 7 months or so, and probably for the last 2 years. Obviously there's a lot of talk about a recession, so part of the work we're doing is keeping that in the back of our minds, and I think some of the hardest things that they face is really around getting employees. That's becoming a real challenge for small business owners, and across all levels, not just labourers. I'm talking about management as well, and the immigration or the lack of the lack of consistency around immigration has really hurt us. I think it's hurt us as a country, to be perfectly honest. But this whole thing around getting full employment. Well, when you're 5% unemployment, 4% of that's probably unemployable. So, there's going to be some really big gaps, and there has been, obviously, and the way that perhaps immigration was handled. I don't want to get political, but I believe it should have been handled a lot better. And I think that's really been quite hard for a lot of small businesses, is just trying to find good quality people when they've needed it. But overall, they've been incredibly resilient